Hello and welcome to Buck Wild, only on Buck Report. I'm here with Teresa, my co-host. We'll be talking a little bit of Bucks football. We're going to be breaking down what happened in the last game against those New Orleans Saints, and we finally got the W because we went, now we're going to have a W, and they eating these. Either way, Buccaneers fans are absolutely ecstatic right now because we write off a 7-game losing streak. We're living the high life, aren't we, Teresa? We sipping.
Yeah, since 2020, yeah.
Really high on meds. I'm drinking beer. We're all good.
Life is good for the Buccaneer fan right now.
Life is good for Buccaneers fans. So let's break down that game. And I'm sure it's been talked to death, Teresa. But for you personally, what was your point when you went, the Buccaneers have done it? Like that, like the dagger was in. We twisted the knife. It was over.
It was, the whole throwing of the tablet and the fight that broke out, protecting the quarterback. I think that got everybody fired up, defensively and offensively.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I'd say when the dagger went in was that pick six. That was like the point of no return. You knew it was over. You knew they weren't coming back. It was done. And everybody watching, remember, follow, like, subscribe, do it now, and unsubscribe, and unlike, and then resubscribe, and relike. And please, please, please comment. We live off the comment. If you guys don't comment, it's just me and Teresa just chatting, and we can chat for days with each other any day. So we would like you guys to get involved with us. So we're talking a little bit about football.
Huh?
We're talking a little bit about our Buccaneer football. Let's have a little chat about our Saints. Those poor, poor Saints.
Be better if he had a paper bag over his head.
Oh, we'll get to that. That's my favorite one, though. So here we go. So we'll have a bit of fun at their expense and what have you. That game was still very tight. I mean, if you weren't for the James Winston interceptions, it would have been a little bit closer. But that defense, that vaunted defense, even though it gave up a little bit in the run, and I looked at the total yards, it ain't that bad. It was actually quite good against. It wasn't great against the run, but it still wasn't bad. And those DBs of ours, Jamal Dean's looking very special right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Colton Davis, who's always been like the kind of lead dog. He's that very handsy guy on the team. He's very good at redirecting traffic, or what's called a jam and reroute, or jamming up the guy, and delaying them on their route. Right. Now you got Jamal Dean really shining in. It's always been Sean Murphy-Bunting that they put in first. But this year they decided to go with, there's always been a titanic battle between that Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamal Dean. It's been that kind of titanic battle, and you get one kind of gets a stranglehold in it, and then the other one kind of goes in, and it's always been a bit of a mess. I wouldn't say a mess. It's a good headache for us to have.
It's a good headache,
when you've got multiple guys at the position. Hello, Pamela White. Hello, Jarl. That's my best way of saying hello, Jarl. I hope I didn't butcher it. And then we got Jeff Olsen. Saints defense still very good. Yes, they were.
They're good.
They kept a Tom Brady. We did have Mike Evans for a good chunk of the game. Julio Jones he was inactive. We had a Brashard Perriman and we had a Russell Gage, and we looked very average. I mean, I would honestly say if Scotty Miller could catch a ball, and I don't want to be harsh on the kid, but if he could catch a ball, we wouldn't be talking conversation. We'd be talking the Buccaneers are probably could put another 2 touchdowns on him. But that's near nor there. It didn't happen. The Buccaneers ran the football well when they needed to. I personally wasn't a big fan of the 4th down call, only because I take the point that's on offer, because I just know the Saints are one of those teams that kind of shut you out when it comes to that 4th down. That's just me. But I don't think that's a coaching blunder. I think that's just going for the jugular.
Yeah.
And that's confidence as well.
If you can get the points, go with the points.
So we walk away, and Tom Brady ends up going, 1 touchdown, no sacks. Oh, sorry, got sacked once. So Tom Brady's been sacked 3 times in 2 games, which ain't half bad considering how bad this offensive line is supposed to be so bad. You know, we lose the ginger mean machine in Ryan Jensen. Then Aaron Stinney, this guard who had a really great Super Bowl or finishes the playoff run, and Aaron Stinney goes down, and Luke Getsy has to come in and do a job. And then you get Donovan Smith, probably one of the most hated Buccaneers on the team, because he was hated for a while. It took Tom Brady to change people's perspective of him. Before that, everyone called him a bum. He needed to get out of Tampa and what have you. I was a bit more on the fence. My philosophy is, Teresa, is if you can get me a replacement that is as good or better than, then replace him. But if you can't give me somebody, I don't want to hear about it. Until the replacement's at the doorstep, you don't cut nobody. That's my philosophy. Sorry.
Well, they're having to pick up a bunch of wide receivers and, offensive help. But it seems to me that they're settling on people,
What, like Cole Beasley?
Well, somebody had mentioned somebody else they would have taken before Cole Beasley, and I don't remember who it was.
I mean, I can look at it while we chat anyway, and we can see where we go on this. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody. I mean, the only one that I had an argument, a debate with somebody. A debate's a nicer way of putting it, about the whole Odell Beckham thing. And they're like, oh, we need to go and sign Odell Beckham. And I was like, you do realize he's still suffering from an ACL injury that he sustained in the Super Bowl. And Chris Godwin's just coming back from that. And Chris Godwin did that in December. This guy did it in February. So he's 2 months, he's minimum 2 months behind Godwin. And we don't even know if Godwin's at full spec yet. So we know it's a hamstring. They list the hamstring on the injury report. They don't list both injuries. And this is the interesting thing. Is the hamstring ailing him, or are both injuries ailing him? Because if it's both, then it's a problem. And how much, and here's my crazy, I was thinking about this when I was driving home. He's got a hamstring injury. Now, you don't generally get a hamstring injury on both hamstrings on both legs. So what ends up happening is he's got a hamstring injury on one of his legs. Is that the same leg that his knee has had the ACL injury? Or is it the other one? We don't know these things because we're not in the building. And I find that quite interesting, because it must be much harder to rehab the knee if your hamstrings bust.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can feel your hamstring pull as you move your knee. So if you can't get that, if your hamstring's tight or weakened or damaged, you can't stretch out your hamstring properly, which means you're not working your knee as much. So I'm intrigued to know about that. Is that going to hinder him a little bit? We don't know.
Could be.
But I mean, I can't think of anybody, but I think it comes down to personal opinion. There was I don't know if you watched Skip and Shannon. They had a discussion about him and Julian Edelman. And obviously, Julian Edelman is Tom Brady's favorite little skinny white boy, and he's traded him in. And I believe Edelman made a joke about this so they didn't even come and call me, and well, why not, and all that kind of thing. And it is what it is. The Buccaneers decided to go with Cole Beasley, and if you look at Cole Beasley's stats, he ain't bad. He's a very good slot receiver, decent slot receiver. I remember in the 2020 season, he got a Pro Bowl nod over Mike Evans. That was disrespectful in my opinion. It's not Cole Beasley's fault. He didn't turn around and go, you need to pick me over him. And if he did, you can't blame him for it.
The Buccaneers get zero respect, so it doesn't surprise me.
Absolutely. And the stats were crazy. I mean, I believe Cole Beasley had maybe 100 more yards, but he had something like 8 touchdowns less. And I'm like, I'm taking the guy who scores me tutties, and I'm taking the guy who can get the ball down the field too. Exactly. And that's why I'm not completely sold on the tight end in Atlanta, because last year he gets 1 touchdown, he gets 1,000 yards, and everyone's talking about him like he's the greatest tight end since sliced bread. I was like, well, he can move the ball, but can he go and get me touchdowns? I want you win games with touchdowns, not yards.
Right.
So I want to see a little bit more from that kid. If he wants to prove that he is that premier tight end, I didn't think he deserved to get the Pro Bowl nod, but 1,000 yards at the tight end position is pretty special. I don't know. I mean, I don't follow the Atlanta Falcons, so maybe you might be able to answer this. I know you don't really follow them really because you're a Buccaneers fan.
That's right.
But here's the thing. Do they play him as a true tight end, or are they playing him as a slot receiver, which is kind of where he's been in around he's played that slot position or that really tight slot where he's, this far away from the line. He's just slightly disconnected from the line, not like a Gronkowski who is completely connected to the line. And I think that's the big difference in my opinion. But hey, he got his yards, deserves them. But at the same time, you need to get more touchdowns.
Name 5 people on the offense for the Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta? Cordell Patterson, him. Back then, it was probably Russell Gage as well.
Oh, no. We're going on with this
right now.
Who does Mariota have?
The draft pick they got, Drake London Drake. I can't remember which way round it is. And their quarterback, so I got 4.
Okay. After that, you don't hear anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I mean, I might be able to figure out. I think they've got a Matthews brother, Ryan Matthews, on the offensive line. Yeah, I can't remember if he's moved on or
not. Jason said he's upset that his favorite tight end, Mike Evans, is not playing tomorrow. Daddy isn't happy with that at all.
Jason Sweet, he's not a tight end. He's nowhere near the offensive line. I mean, he's got a body of a tight end. I give him that. He probably, I mean, he probably with that shove, I'd like to see him do run blocks on that. I don't think I've seen him. Does anyone ever remember when he was in his rookie year? I think it was preseason. I'm not entirely sure, but there's a video of him lifting a guy up, down, and slamming a Cincinnati Bengals player into the ground.
Wow.
Literally ended somebody. I don't know if that guy's still playing in the league anymore, but he might be done right now. So let's have a look. I'm looking at the wide receivers that were available. So number 1 free agent was Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, DJ Chark, Chris Godwin, Odell Beckham, obviously not signed with anybody because he's still recovering. Allen Robinson, Jarvis Landry, Braxton Berrios. I've never even heard of that person. Jake Matthews. Thank you, Jeff Olson. That was the one. And he's involved in the big Matthews family who usually play defense. Russell Gage, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jameson Crowder. Will Fuller was the other guy that was available. Was that the gentleman?
Maybe. I don't know.
He's down. He's quite young as well. He's younger. And then after that, I'd say the most available person was Emmanuel Sanders, who retired. And then you've got Cole Beasley, Alden Tate, Keelan Cole, Chester Rogers, Richie James, Dede Westbrook, Adam Humphries, Brandon Zalister.
They were wanting Adam Humphries to come back.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he was one of my favorite players.
He was, but
he hasn't done anything since.
He went to Tennessee, and he hasn't done hardly anything since.
If he were coming back to, and people please don't glare at me for this. If he was coming back to a Jameis Winston, I'm all for it because Jameis Winston and him clicked. But you can't guarantee that click's going to happen with him and Brady because he went and gone to Tannehill. Then he hasn't played with poor quarterbacks other than that. He's never had a good quarterback.
Right.
So it'd be interesting. I mean, you don't know. But here's the thing, everyone in Buck Nation, hear me out. I like Adam Humphries.
I do
Nothing
too.
against the guy. I would have loved to have seen him back in the Buccaneers uniform. But the front office said no.
Yeah.
Tom Brady said no.
Well, it's in Light I trust. Jason Light knows what he's doing.
Exactly, Teresa. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head in Light and he ain't done as bad. And when we used to have these bad drafts that used to get, I used to get a bit upset because I was a bit confused. I was like, why does everyone say we have a bad draft? And I went and looked back. I went and took a really good team, like a Seattle Seahawks. They were still good at the time. They only had 2 good drafts. After that, they just went. The Buccaneers drafts are solid. They had one draft, 1 year where they were really bad. The Vernon Hargraves year, that is considered probably a worst drafting class of all time. Yeah. Hey, it is what it is. You're gonna flummox occasionally.
Oh yeah.
And there's always going to be a diamond in the rough somewhere that you didn't see.
Yeah. And thanks for that, Yukon Ben. King Charles III probably appreciates you saying hail to him. He watches his podcast all the time.
Scotty Miller sucks.
And he said,
Yeah, I never want to get after a guy, but he has not played well. Me personally, when we were doing the cuts, I'd have traded. I personally would have traded Scotty Miller for Tyler Johnson, because I felt Tyler Johnson has more route tree. Tyler Johnson has a bit more to him, but apparently he doesn't play special teams, and that can always bite you in the ass. And this Scotty Miller can. So you're looking for a guy who can play special teams. Now we saw, I don't know if you heard about this, Teresa, that Cole Beasley tried to return punts for the Bucs. He lost a helmet and dropped the ball. So that's the end of that experiment. It is what it is. I don't know. I never heard of him returning points, but to be honest, I don't follow Cole Beasley, so it's not a done thing. So someone, if you know a bit more about him.
Yeah.
Here we go. Bucs Skull Gang in the house. Hi, Bucs Report. Thank you, Skull Gang. Much appreciated, brothers and sisters, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Scotty Miller scoring against Green Bay this week, just like in the playoffs. Hey, I'd love to see.
I'd take that
all day long. I'd take that all day long. I think that
all day long. Now people are they're starting to scream, "Go get Ndamukong Suh and bring him back to Texas out."
I mean, there's a logic to it, obviously, and there's nothing against it. But here's the thing: doesn't Logan Hall have his? No, it's not Logan Hall. Nobody has his. I don't believe anybody has his number. Sorry, it was JPP who has. Logan Hall has JPP's number.
Yeah.
We get to see a bit more Logan Hall and see what he can do. So the thing is, when you put all these vets in front of guys, they don't always get a chance. Depending on the staff, of course, they don't always get a chance to get a taste of real football. So when it comes to them starting, they kind of look a bit lost. So I think him being in that rotation and getting a bit more out of it, Logan Hall could have a bit more of a career. And I think they believe in him. They wouldn't have panicked so early. I think a lot of people seem to think we're just going to get Gronk and be done with it. But personally, I don't see it happening.
I don't either. I'd love to see Gronk come back in, but can his body take it?
Can his body handle it, and is he in shape? Because we saw when he first came back to the Buccaneers, it took him a minute to get ready. It took him a minute to be in with it. And then we got mid-season, and then he got into that Gronk. He started to show that Gronk that we know.
Right.
We signed him halfway. Sorry, go ahead.
Wants to know if we're worried about this game. I worry about every game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident in every game, and I'm worried about every game. Like I am literally, I have the stressometer starts in the middle, and it just keeps flip flopping depending on what's happening. And sometimes I get more stressed, and sometimes I get more chilled. And obviously, that Jets game that we played, I was stressed. I was sweating bullets.
Oh yeah, because you never know what's going to happen. Any given Sunday, they're all professional football players.
The only thing I'd say that works for the Bucs this year is we're not the defending champions, so people are gunning for us, but they're not gunning for us in the same ways that we want to pip the champs. And that's a big thing, in my opinion. I think that helps us in a lot of ways. Going back to Bucs School Gang in the house. Yep, Battle of the Bay. It's a very famous battle, this one. It's been going on since the Buccaneers were in the NFC Central. So, we get to reminisce a little bit on that, and hopefully we can sack that boy Rodgers, and hopefully we can get a meme made out of him. Just like that, the one that came out where he looks like he gets sacked and he looks like he's completely in shock. Bucs go 0-3 since 2016 a long time. Yeah, I like that, and it should happen. It should happen, but you never say never. And I believe it will happen personally. So we've talked a little bit about the Saints game, what the Buccaneers did right. It was all defense, really, more than anything, wasn't it, in that game? I mean, the Buccaneers took their chances on offense, but it was generally the defense that dug their heels in and said, no more. And from that, we ended up getting a resurgent defense that just kept on fighting and fighting. And we sacked Jameis Winston and just showed how porous their offensive line was. It basically felt like the Buccaneers had flipped the script on this game, in my opinion, because if in years gone by, we played how the Saints played in that second half. Just trying to get back into it, desperately trying to get back into it, and just couldn't. Being close, but not being close enough. Just being agonizingly short and then getting that pick or a pick six that just killed the game off. That's how we used to play against the Saints. And now it's kind of looking a little bit different because it felt like it completely flipped on a knife's edge for us, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But let's go and talk about this Green Bay Packers game. Let's have a little look at our the injury report. Let's get the injury report up. Here we go. So, to your screens, Chris Godwin is out, and so is Akeem Hicks. Cade Otton is dealing with the death of his, I believe, the death of his mother. So our thoughts and prayers and our hearts go out to him. Cade, if you do end up ever watching the show, just know Book Report and all Book Report supporters have your back. When you're ready to come back into a Bucs uniform, we know you're going to bring it. But right now, just focus on you, focus on your family, and we'll see you soon, brother.
Yep.
Donovan Smith, he's down as doubtful as well. He'll be a game day decision. He didn't participate, then he was limited, and then he didn't participate. Now, and I'm just reading between the lines here, what that says to me is he didn't participate, he had limited participation, and then they were like, you know what, let's just rest this cat. We do not want to overwork him. So I think it'll be a case of seeing how he goes on the day. Leonard Fournette is limited all the way through and is questionable. I think he'll fight through it. He fought through it last week. He still had the same injury. Russell Gage, hamstring. He didn't participate. I think that might just be saving him because they don't know what they're going to get in their wide receiver group because of how tight the injuries are. Mike Evans is out on suspension. Julio Jones looks to be close to out, and then you've also got Chris Godwin out as well. So I think they were just resting him out a little bit, and they're not going to say they're resting him.
Right.
Julio Jones, it's the same kind of vibe. I mean, he had limited participation, so that on the last day, so that kind of gives you a little bit of hope that he could be there. I think he'll do something. I just don't know how long he'll play. He'll be on limited snap count, I'd imagine. Rashard Perriman is limited, questionable. I think it's no different to how he was last week, really. I think he'll be all right. Tom Brady with the finger, good God, he'll be fine. Levante David, it was just rest. Colton Davis with the hip, he's limited, full participation, he's all in. Robert Hainsey's all in. Zion McCollum's all in, and Scotty Miller is all in. And then I just got to get rid of this comment. I do apologize, Jeff.
I'm sorry.
Just so I can read this, and I'll get rid of the banner too. So I can see the others. So Sammy Watkins is listed out. So we've both got a wide receiver that's out. We do have two technically. David Bakhtiari did not participate, limited. So you don't know. That's a squeaky one. You don't know if he's going to squeak in, squeak out, but is he ready to face a pass rush off Shaquille Barrett? I don't think so. He's really going to have to bring his A game. Randall Cobb did not participate all the way through. That kind of works out for us, to be honest. When you have a guy that's not participating at all, but it does say illness, so it depends on what his illness is. They're not going to specify too much. I hope he's out personally, so it just gives us a bit more to work with. It's less work. But this wide receiver group from the Packers hasn't impressed me yet. I'm not saying that they're not capable of winning, but they haven't impressed me yet. Mercedes Lewis, who's a blocking tight end, is limited, did not participate and limited. I think he'll play in a fashion. And then Christian Watson, another wide receiver, limited, did not participate. That's not a good sign that he was limited and then it got worse.
Yeah.
That tells me that his hamstring got worse, but I don't know. Doesn't mean I'm right. They could just be resting him. Kenny Clark, their defensive line, he's limited. Mason Crosby did not participate. He's with an illness. He didn't participate at all. So I don't know how much an illness affects a kicker, to be brutally honest. And then Algen Jenkins with the knee, limited, full participation. So he's going to be back. And then Alan Lazard, their other wide receiver, then the next guy up is limited, did not participate, limited. So both teams right now are a bit beat up when it comes to their wide receiver groups, which basically means it's going to be a defensive free-for-all, right?
I like our chances in a defensive free-for-all.
I mean, it forces both quarterbacks to rely on who's got the better run defense, the Buccaneers. Who I wouldn't say who's the better thrower of the ball. I think that's debatable. It always will be debatable. Who has the better wide receivers? Nobody right now. I mean, don't get me wrong. If it depends on who comes back from all these limited guys.
Right.
Jeff Olson with my brother is a Packers fan, so we have to win. Absolutely. I want you to have bragging rights. I want you to ring him up. Say, hey, you should make a bet with him, Jeff. Make a bet with him. Make sure he's got to do like a little chore for you. Do something for you. Maybe he's got to wear your Buccaneers jersey. Maybe he's got to come out and sing the Buccaneers fight song or something. I don't know. Come up with something fun. Do it. Make him eat a half-pound of cheese. I don't know. Just find something. Make something to make him sick. Because the Buccaneers should win this week. And I'm calling it. I want my Buccaneers to win. I expect them to win. And I think the Buccaneers fans are now in a point where we expect us to win. And the Buccaneers have done it so far. School gang in the house. Buccaneers #1 defense. Absolutely. We're looking really, really good at the moment. It's been vibrant for us. We're fighting and we're fighting. Pamela White, your sister, the defense has only allowed 1 touchdown. Exactly. 1 touchdown. And that was in the dead part of the game.
We're leading the league in fewest points allowed. We've only allowed 13 points.
Donovan Smith, he sucks. You can, I mean, that's your opinion, and you're entitled to it. I would disagree because he's probably the weaker member on the line. I completely agree with that. But to say someone completely out and out sucks, he's a part of an NFL franchise being paid. Trust me, if he was bad and Tom Brady didn't want him there, he'd be gone and they'd bring somebody else in.
I think Tom's very comfortable with him now.
I think he was a bit shaky to begin with, and he's got progressively better. People don't seem to understand that the left tackle position is probably one of the toughest positions on the offensive side of the football because of just what it means to do.
Well, I was one of those people wanting his head on a platter.
Of course, because he didn't play very well.
He didn't play very well, but I've got to admit, since he's been working with Brady, he has gotten, hugely better. I can't even think of the word I want to use, but it's.
Yeah, you don't want to say great. Is that what?
No, it's been great. It's been great, but I still won't say he's the best left tackle you can get. But
no, if you were to rank him 1 to 32, where would you put him, Teresa?
Probably about 12.
Yeah, I think he's in that top 15.
Yeah,
that 15 to 10.
I mean, he's very rarely are they getting through him to get to Tom.
And occasionally it does happen, but it happens to everyone. The Buccaneers are giving up 3 sacks on this bad offensive line that's missing Mr. Mitt Hucknall in the middle, the ginger machine, the red mean machine in Ryan Jensen's out. Then we lose another guy, and I think I've just reiterated this again already. But this offensive line has really shown its stuff, and they are helped out by those tight ends and we will miss one of them in Cade Otton, but O'Keefe definitely can block, and we've seen that he can block. I'm not too worried about running the football. I just hope their run defense can hold us. I'm going to have a look at their stats on their run defense, actually, and I do believe they do cough up a little bit of yardage, but I will give the exact figures. Zion McCullum debut. I mean, he won't be starting, but he will definitely be playing, I would imagine, in some sort of fashion, for sure.
Somebody needs a rest, he goes in.
Absolutely. Do you think... Oh, dear.
That's never going to happen. Not on the field.
No. I can see them both in a nursing home throwing stuff at each other.
Yeah.
So
2000.
the 2000 Ravens allow the fewest points per game at 10.3. The Bucs are at 6.5. I mean, it's early days. We
Yeah,
don't know what we're going up against. But the good thing is the Buccaneers. We haven't gone up against any super offenses yet.
right.
That's the big thing we've got to take into account here. Kansas City is going to be the real test for this defense.
Probably. See,
Because
after this game, we have the Falcons, maybe.
mm-hmm.
Depends on whether we have a stadium. But I wonder what they're going to do. Are they going to flip us with the end of the year game and maybe bring this one up to Atlanta, or what are they going to do?
So what's going on with that then?
Well, they got a
I
hurricane.
don't know. This is breaking news for me because I know nothing about this.
Well, they have a hurricane heading for them. Should be
Right.
there Thursday-ish. If there's any damage, they won't have time to correct it.
The Buccaneers or the Falcons?
Huh?
The Falcons.
The Falcons, they're supposed to come in to Tampa.
I know there's a storm coming. There's a storm coming through our way as well, isn't it? Right. Well, I say our way. I mean Tampa's way.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. So once it moves on from Tampa, it goes to Atlanta.
It'll go up, but I'm not worried about the Atlanta area. I'm more worried about, is Atlanta going to be able to fly into Tampa and play the game, or are they going to have to take that game and switch it with the one in January where we play in Atlanta? So they would play in Atlanta week after this, and then in January they'd play in Tampa.
Haven't we got the Kansas City Chiefs next?
I thought we had Atlanta, and then we had Kansas City.
Yeah, I'll have to have a little look. I'll have to have a little check.
Bucs play Chiefs next week, is what I'm being told.
Yeah, Bucs play Chiefs. I think it's Atlanta after that, maybe. I've not looked at. I've not got the schedule right in front of me, so. It's Atlanta Falcons after the Chiefs. Yeah.
After the Chiefs. Okay. Well, then they'll have plenty of time. Don't the Chiefs come in though?
Yes. So we have three back-to-back home games.
Welcome to Tampa.
Welcome to Buck Kickland.
Bucs are thinking about bringing back Antonio Brown. Whatever.
I can guarantee you that they're more likely throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping that sticks rather than even. Hey, the only thing that Antonio Brown's good at doing is quitting on his fans. When he quit on his rap concert hours before he was supposed to appear. So if he keeps doing crap like that, he won't even have a rap. His abysmal rap career won't even be there.
He still does want to talk about the Bucs, though.
Because that's what made him relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Let's have a little look at our team as we go. So this is the special teams. Jake Camarada. Number 5 will be your my brain just went completely blank and I'm looking at oh dear.
PT.
So we got Zach Train as your long snapper, you got Jake Camarada as your holder, your kickoff kicker is Jake Camarada, your punt returner is Jalen Darden, and your kick returner is Jalen Wright. Your punter is Jake Camarada, and your place kicker or goal kicker, whatever you want to call them, will be Ryan Subway. And if you notice, Scotty Miller is there as the backup punt returner, and Jalen Darden is the backup kick returner.
Right.
And then this is basically what's going on with the practice squad right now. It might have changed again recently because they like to change things. Cole Beasley is now no longer on the practice squad. He's been activated. He will be in the game for sure. And then we have your starting offense will be Brashard Perry, number 16, number 6, Julio Jones. Your slot wide receiver, number 17, Russell Gage. Number 76, Donovan Smith is slated to start at left tackle. Luke Geteke at 67. Robert Hainsey, number 70 as your center. Shaq Mason, your right guard at 69. obvious number he picked there. Then there's a reason for that. Right tackle Tristan Wirfs 78. I mean, if you look at that right now, if you just took away if you took away Donovan Smith and you had Brandon Walton come in, there's only one guy that returns from last year as a starter, and that's Tristan Wirfs. That's crazy to think. Tristan Wirfs will be your right tackle at 78. Your tight end Cameron Brate will be to start, and then obviously Tom Brady, number 12, and number 7, Leonard Fournette. Regular season Lenny, hopefully we see more for Tuddy Lenny. And then on your defensive side of the ball, you have number 92, William Goulston on the end, Vita Vea, number 50 in the middle as your true nose. And then your other defensive tackle or defensive end, however you want to put it, will be Logan Ryan. And then Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Shaq Barrett will be your outside linebackers with Devin White and Levante David.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Dean and Colton Davis will be your corners, along with Logan Ryan and Antoine Winfield Jr. Where's Mike Edwards in that? Oh, my mistake. I personally think Antoine Winfield will be starting free safety as well. I think he'll play nickel, but they'll move him from free safety to nickel, and then Logan Ryan will come in as a free safety. Personally, I don't think they're just going to keep someone as talented as Antoine Winfield on the bench until they go into their nickel package. Just don't see it happening. What are our comments like?
I believe we're at Kansas City will be a rest for us. Cam White.
Here we go. Oh, we got a quote. Wow, it's there've been quite a few while I chatted. Okay. The Bucs are thinking about Antonio Brown was the last one I remember. Right. And then your sister came in and said, I believe Casey will be a rest for us. I wish that was a rest. I think they're probably going to be our biggest challenge of the season, personally, at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bucs play the Chiefs next week. Bucs and the Chiefs game might get postponed.
Uh-huh.
Is that because of the hurricane?
That would be because of the hurricane, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know, because I don't live in the area, so I don't know that kind of breaking news. Right. Bucs could go and get Odell Beckham. He's still on crutches. He's not actually on crutches, but he's still nursing an ACL injury. I mean, me and Teresa covered this earlier. There is no reason to go get him right now.
No.
If you want him, wait, because you don't know what your receiver group's going to look like in 6 weeks' time. He is written down right now as a October. Now I know what you're thinking. October's kind of next week or the week after, but it's really not. They're talking mid to late October, and then you got to get him up to scratch. Then you got to get him up to go. And I know Cole Beasley's dressing. I get that, but you've got to think of this, guys. It's not that simple. It's going to take him at least a week to get to scratch. And yeah, they do dress him. It doesn't mean he's going to be the lead dog or in that. He's going to be in the rotation. He's going to be working his way up the depth chart. So what? And even people are talking about he might not even be back. He is not. If he was healthy, he'd be telling everyone he's healthy. Trust me. His agent will be telling everyone he's healthy. He'd be running around doing stupid drills in his back garden, like most of them do, to show that he's healthy. And then he'll be picking up the call to someone like Tom Brady or the other guys that he knows around the league, and someone will be looking to pick him up. He is obviously not ready yet, so there's no reason to sign him except for just wasting cap.
Okay,
guys, all you're going to do is stick him straight on IR.
Yeah, guys, going back to the Kansas City game might be postponed. I don't know when they'd play it because Kansas City's bye is week 8. So if ours is week 11, I don't know how they're going to do that.
I mean, they could just move it to another day. They could have 2 games on Monday.
They could have it on a Saturday or.
Yeah, they'll figure that out. I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. Or they could go neutral site if they have to.
True.
Not saying I hope they don't, but we'll see. I think it's too premature to kind of broadcast what's going to happen next week because we all know the weatherman lies sometimes. Well, you don't lie, you just don't know. You say one thing, Hey, I've been told, the weatherman told me it's got a nothing % chance of raining. I've gone, oh, put my washing out.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, shouldn't bother. Should have left them on the error. Who else we got? Corey Brown, if Bucs is a hurricane, but yeah. Okay, that's kind of what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of people saying Leftwich Sandwich is a good offensive coordinator when his play calling take him 3 quarters to finally get a touchdown. I get where you're coming from, but you got to remember this Buccaneers team was a bit. Yeah, I'll give you the first game, because the first game the Buccaneers team was pretty much solid. It should have done a lot more than it did. But the last game, I wouldn't put it on that. A, it's the Saints. B,
Right.
that was a banged up. That's been a bang. That was a banged up wide receiver core. The proof is going to be in the season.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't just freak out over 2 weeks. The Buccaneers are winning ugly. We'll take it. If it means that they get a minute to figure it out, and you've got to remember, someone like Russell Gage he's had 11 less days with Tom Brady. So has Julio Jones. So this whole Tom Brady on a sabbatical, and we were all cool about it. I'm not saying I'm not. Mm-hmm. Sabbatical, sorry, I do apologize. That he was away from the team for 11 days.
Mm-hmm.
It had a toll in some sort of sense. And I'm not saying Tom Brady was being selfish or anything like that. He's the GOAT. He can technically do what he wants, I guess. We're lucky that he decided to unretire. He could just stay retired, to be brutally honest, and we'd all be fine with it, because we'd be like, well, that's his right. So I'm not worried about it, because you know what the funny thing is? When the team is humming and we're scoring touchdowns at will, it's not Byron Leftwich that gets the credit. Do you know who gets the credit? Tom Brady. Oh, Tom Brady's actually the offensive coordinator. It's easy for Byron Leftwich to be such a great coach, because all he has to do is sit and smoke a cigar while Tom Brady does his thing. But when it's the reverse and he's not playing well, or the offense isn't humming, it's now Leftwich's fault. Well, you can't have it both ways. And I'm not saying I'm trying to Yakam Ben Israel. I'm going to do my best. I think that's the best I can do with that pronunciation of that name. I don't know which way of the spectrum you are. When the Buccaneers play well, do you only credit Tom Brady, or do you credit Byron Leftwich? Or if you only credit Tom Brady, then you can only discredit Tom Brady when it all goes wrong. You can't have it both ways. So I'd be interested to know your thoughts on that, brother. School gang, Bucs go KC week 4 could happen. Hey, we don't know yet. We're all predicting here. We really don't know what's going to happen. The hurricane could even just move over the top of Tampa and completely miss it completely, because that can happen. The Bucs, no, they don't have the same bye week. We covered that, and then Bucs week 11 line. This is a different one. The Bucs travel KC and play their week 4. Of course they could. Whether they want to or not is a different thing. But they might be forced to. The league might turn around and go, you play somewhere else, or you take your bye. Yeah. And then we'll give them a bye, and then we'll just reschedule your game at a different time. You'll both have a bye then, and then when, I don't know, it's a scheduling nightmare, to be brutally honest. But they could play on a different day, and they could play on a neutral site. And the Buccaneers, knowing them, will probably pick somewhere in Florida. They only have to go to Jacksonville. They're still not that far away from their fans.
Right.
So, and they could go to Miami, or they could go somewhere else. There are other places available. They don't have to go to Kansas City.
Right.
And no stadium's going to turn down free revenue. Mm-mm. But I'm pretty sure the Buccaneers will move heaven and earth to try and make this game happen, because it's revenue for the city and it's revenue for the Glazers.
Right.
So I think they would more try to reschedule than they would move the game somewhere else. Bucs versus Chiefs just removed the games Tuesday night football. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've done it before. They did it during the COVID season, and this is an argument they'll have, because I remember this. Remember the game that we had against Miami, and they cut us off and they said, "You're playing. This is your bye week. We played through our bye week, or what have you." Yeah. Or we had our bye week early. Sorry. because of this. And now, because of COVID, we know that the puppies can be shuffled and we can play on different days. Because now, before when this happened, there was no talk about us playing a Tuesday night football game.
Yeah.
Not one iota of a conversation. But now, because it's already happened, you can go, what about that Tuesday night football action? And they'll be like, no. We're not giving stuff up. I can hear some pitter-patters of feet coming down the stairs, so I'm sure I'm going to be joined by my little son in a minute. So if you see the door behind me move, it'll be my little one. I do apologize to everyone. Here we go. I can see it just peeping over my shoulder. There we go.
He's a future football fan. We're good.
He already is a football fan. He always sings. Have you seen the video of him dancing?
Yes, I did.
They were really excited. They really enjoy their ball. Byron Leftwich has to protect Brady with conservative play calling until the line Charles and Haynes. That's not a bad shout. Like, you can't get too crazy.
Right.
Can you go without milk? Okay, Teresa, can you go through the comments while I sort my little one out?
Sure.
Cheers, darling. Thank you very much.
No worries. So yeah, like he was saying, the front line has to gel, and if he's going to go a little conservative, giving them time to do that, then that's the way they have to do it. I'm not going to second guess them. The last couple of years, they've been spot on with what they're doing, so I'm good. Corey Brown, according who? I don't know what that's in reference to, but Bucs Skull Gang does not want an early bye week. I don't either. I like it when we have a later bye week. We got time in the middle of the season or towards the end of the season to regroup, rest everybody for about a week, and, get to it. Gives the people that are injured more time to rest and recoup. I just don't think early bye, and every time we've had them, I've been disgusted with it because it's too early. It's just too early. I remember one time I think we had week 5 or something like that. It was bad. I didn't like it. All right, you guys, come on, give me some more comments. Oh, Pam meant test, not rest. Okay, gotcha. All right, well, let's see. What else do we got here? We've got some, just so you guys know, we've got some questionable people. Like I said, we got Gage, Jones, and Perryman are all questionable. And Leonard Fournette is questionable, but I don't know. I don't remember seeing him get hurt, so I don't know what to think. Now, Levante David did not practice on Friday, so.
But that was rest.
That was just rest.
Yeah, it was just veteran rest day. If I bring it, I'll bring it up just to be sure, because it's always best to be safe than sorry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have a little look where we got. Levante David, yeah, rest, did not participate. He's blank, did not participate.
Okay.
So yeah, he's a rested veteran.
And Bucs Skull Gang wants to know, how bad are the Bucs going to beat the Packers? I think they'll beat them bad, but not on the scoreboard. I think on the scoreboard it will be maximum 10 points. There'll be nothing more. I think it'd even be less than that. I think personally, the Buccaneers have the ability to completely landslide this if they want to. Right.
But because I think the defense is so much better than what the Packers have.
Right.
If the Buccaneers can run the football and establish play action, they can start hitting a couple of guys. I really want to see these tight ends be used in a Gronk-esque way. Because right now we haven't seen it. And we're talking about the wide receiver shortages. You've got other receivers. They might not be wide receivers, but you've got tight ends. So let's start using them in the game.
Yeah, Dink and Dunk all the way down the field.
Dink and Dunk all the way down the field. Hey, little in breakers, little outbreakers, little curl routes, little rub routes, all of that stuff. It's all going to be needed because I think that's how you beat this team. Once you establish the run, and once you have that, we'll be ready to rock. We'll be ready to rock. The Buccaneers could win this in a landslide, or, and this is my opinion, this is just what I think is going to happen. It'll be more like it'll be like a dogged defensive battle, similar to last week, and we will end up pipping them in the end. And I think it will come down to a big defensive play, like a strip sack or something like that, that puts us into, and that, that this is the intangible that you can't know. Is all it takes is Shaq Barrett to pop that ball out from one of them sacks, and the Buccaneers have it at the 25 or the 20.
Right.
And when you only got to go 20 yards, it's not as difficult. But the one thing we have seen with this Buccaneers team is they have struggled in the red zone.
Okay. I myself, I think it's going to be a 2017 game.
You're going 2017?
Early buys are no good.
Nope, they're no good.
Bucs should win by 14.
I'd love to see that score going in the house. I love your optimism. I just don't see it yet. I think the Buccaneers can win away. I can think the Buccaneers can steal it by 10.
Yeah.
But hey, Teresa, did you think when we played them in the season last year, not last year, but in the Super Bowl season, not in the playoffs, but in the game in Tampa, did you see that score line come in? Because I didn't.
No, I didn't.
So you just don't, realistically, we just don't know in the real world. But we like to think that we know. We like to think we know something. We can't predict results.
Exactly.
And all we can say is I think the Buccaneers have the potential to do the same kind of thing, providing the defense does what it did the last time they played.
Yeah.
Pick the ball off, force them to run the ball, and shut down the run. If you do that, Aaron Rodgers has got nothing. And then that offense can just, as long as they can establish the run, then they can play that play action game, a few screens, a few bits and pieces here and there. Get a screen game going, get your play action game going, dink and dunk it down the field, kick the field goals when they're there. Don't go on fourth down unless you have to go for fourth down.
Okay.
Corey Brown, Bucs 41-10 over the. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. I just don't see it happening.
I don't either. That's too much. But it'd be fun.
There might be more videos of me on a boat.
There you go.
There'll be a couple. Rodgers will have more turnovers than TDs. I can see that. I can 100% believe that he will go 3 interceptions and maybe he might get 1 touchdown. Maybe.
Yeah. Could be.
I could 100% believe that could happen. There's no reason for it not to happen.
Yep.
So, if you had to pick the headline for this game, Teresa, and the game's all done, and it's printed on, it's not the Tampa Bay Times anymore, is it? What's the Tampa Tribune?
Tribune. Yeah.
What do you want the subtitle to be on that? Bucs win.
Defense just explodes.
Okay, I think I'm in the same. I'd like to see the offense do it. I just don't see with this receiver core that they got available to them, as banged up as they are, that's going to happen. Now I could be wrong, and Julio Jones has the day of his life, and he might not have the day of his life. It can always happen. But what I do predict happening is the Buccaneers just go into a really defensive-minded game. Bucs fans will probably be bored because it will be a defensive game. There won't be many touchdowns. And I think the Buccaneers will get more and more into the game as the game gets on. And I think I'm going to go, they'll get a field goal, they'll get a touchdown, field goal, touchdown. And I believe the Packers will go a touchdown and just field goals. They'll have it if their kicker, and I think their kicker will miss a lot of kicks. And that's where I see it being the blowout. I see the blowout being not because they were absolutely smashed out.
Right.
It'll be the fact that they got a touchdown and the Buccaneers got 2 touchdowns and 3 kicks. You do that. What's that? 23 points to 7. That's technically a blowout.
Yeah. It is. We have Yakan Ben Israel said that, I guess that's the headline on the
I
Tribune.
mean, he's not a particularly nice person.
No.
A lot of people don't like him because of the way he acts. So, yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't particularly like the guy. He used to actually be one of the quarterbacks I liked a bit.
Yeah. I
I
did
think
too.
the whole COVID thing brought out everything I disliked in him because he acted like he was better than anyone, and
Yeah.
like nobody else mattered. And you can have that opinion. That's absolutely fine. Just don't broadcast it.
Nope.
I'm sure there's plenty of people in the world that have that opinion. They just don't shout it out at everyone. And he did it in a way, and I act like he acts kind of like he's too smart.
Yeah.
He's smart. He acts like he's the smartest in the room, and he really isn't.
Right.
Yeah, we know you went to Cal. We get it. You went to a smart college. Lots of people go to smart colleges. Not all of them are smart.
Right. Especially if you get scholarship.
Exactly. And it depends on what he actually studied. Has he got a degree?
I don't know.
No, nor do I. And I don't care, to be honest.
Okay. Scotty Miller will have a breakout game. Let's hope so.
I'm hoping so. I just don't see it but hey, you never know. Tom Brady could have lit a fire in his ass.
Yeah.
What I want to see is I want to see a bit more Russell Gage because we spent a bit of money on him. He's here for 3 years. I want to see a bit more return in that investment. I don't care about Scott. Scotty Miller's probably done what? This is his fourth or third? Yes, this is his 4th year.
Mm-hmm.
Buccaneers probably won't re-sign him.
Probably not.
Because he will cost more money than getting a rookie. So your wide receiving core next year guaranteed will be Russell Gage, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. That's guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Then you'll start looking at there's your triplets or your 2 outs and your slot receiver. Then you'll be bringing in guys who can back up those roles. They've already got guys in the practice squad that they're hoping to make that jump. So I don't see that happening. And if Cole Beasley has a good, this is an interesting game because Cole Beasley, as much as he isn't in the know with the Buccaneers playbook, he has an opportunity to kind of really make a name for himself tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think he will because I don't think he's that clued in on the playbook. But if you want to impress Tom Brady, today's the day, Cole.
Yeah.
If you want the narrative written wiped off your name about being the guy who didn't like taking COVID shots, you go out there and you perform and you win the Buccaneers football game, no one will care.
Right.
So he has
Buck Skull Gang says Tom Brady should have won the MVP last year.
It's debatable, but I agree. I 100% agree. I think it's just the case of that Aaron Rodgers doesn't turn over the football. But what you've got to understand is Tom Brady's play last year is more aggressive. And the more aggressive you are, there's a little bit more risk in it. So it's kind of expected. No one throws the way Tom Brady does or in that scheme and doesn't get picks. Like that scheme it's a pick scheme. It's vicious. It's aggressive. It's a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was probably the worst scheme for someone like Jameis Winston. Because Jameis Winston plays that way. So now you've got a scheme that is set up do or die, and you have a do or die quarterback. That can go completely the wrong way or completely the right way.
Right.
But it's going to be a flip of a coin every time because it's 2 of the same thing. So you need a smarter head or calmer head to prevail in that scheme. And that's what we got in Tom Brady. We got a guy who's a game manager who has the skill set of someone of an elite quarterback as well. Aaron Rodgers got his payday. He doesn't care if they win or not. He's just, I don't think he completely doesn't care. But what I do think is he's happy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talking to some guys today, they get stressed because he keeps talking about retiring. Like I know his contract's not for 5, is written down as 5 years or whatever it is, and the GM turned around and went, it's not 5 years, it's 5 1-year deals or what have you. That doesn't matter. That's here nor there. The fact that your quarterback is considering leaving you is not a good thing.
Right. I agree.
Your quarterback, what does that message does that say to your players and your fan base? Well, I might turn up, I might not turn up. So this guy could have an epiphany and one day just go, you know what? I'm done with football. At any time of that 5-year contract, that 5 1-year deal contract, he can just turn around and go, I'm done.
Right.
Whenever he wants. And
there's nothing. Jordan Love.
Exactly. They got to figure it out. So I think he's held the team to ransom to a degree. He clearly doesn't care about getting greatness around him because he would have taken the pay cut or at least asked for his money to be put in a guaranteed contract. That therefore they would still have the money in the family. We know the Green Bay Packers can't be poor. I mean, I know they're not rich. They're not Dallas Cowboys rich, which baffles me how a team can be so poor on the field, but yet so rich off the field. It makes no sense. But
it doesn't.
But it is what it is. It is what it is, and it's taken a long time for someone like the Patriots to catch them up, and they've had nothing but success for the last almost 2 decades.
Right.
Obviously not now. But...
Yeah, Bucs Skull Gang says Aaron Rodgers forced Adams to leave.
I think so. I think he basically just made sure there's not. He just made sure that there was. I don't think he forced him as in he went, you get out of here. But right. I think he did it in a sense of like, no, I'm the guy getting the money, because otherwise he would turn around and go, hey, remember when Chris Godwin was up for a contract? What did Mike Evans say? Take money out of my contract so you can pay Chris Godwin. That's right. A guy who wants a guy around him.
And Tom Brady's always restructuring, doing whatever the team needs.
Because they know what it means. Because having that extra $6 million can sign you someone in the middle of the season. It can sign you maybe an Ndamukong Suh if the line's looking a bit weak. It could sign you a tackle if Donovan Smith is out for the season, for the sake of argument. It can sign you something down the line. And if you've got a couple of guys doing that, that $6 million then becomes 12, 13 to 20 million. And there's a lot more you can do with that.
Yeah.
And there are guys across the league that do similar things. We know that Mike Evans never takes a pay cut. He just gets his money up front.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. But it's the selflessness of him going, and I mean, you can the way. Sorry, I'm just trying to put it in the right turn of phrase because that makes him sound like he's very selfish because he wants his money up front. What I'm trying to say is, if it was a good thing to do, everyone would do it. And not that many people seem to do it. So it seems to me when I hear this and I go, you mean to tell me I can just, that's $13 million contract that you've given for this year? Yeah, I can have 11 and a half of it right now. Yeah, you think that's and it's guaranteed? Yeah, you think every player in the league would do that if they got more than 1 year on their deal because it's guaranteed money? But it doesn't happen that very often.
No.
I find quite odd. But I think it comes down to injuries then, doesn't it? Because if you've got a guaranteed contract and then you're injured, it's a little bit harder to wiggle them out of it. So you have to do it to the right player. You can't do it to everyone because someone will get injured eventually. You could do it to your entire team, but eventually you'll be paying everyone full whack.
Exactly. Corey said the 2023 Bucs will not draft a quarterback first. They've got to draft offensive linemen around the QB before they draft a QB the following year.
Which offensive linemen? We're stacked. We're just down on injury.
Yeah.
Like, if you take the injuries out right now, Ryan Jensen would be there. Aaron Stinney with Luke Goedeke, who, if Luke Goedeke has a season, Aaron Stinney's going to be on the outside next year, outside looking in next year.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Shaq Mason, I believe, has got at least 1 more year on his contract. So you could argue you could draft somebody there to kind of build into that spot. But guards, you don't usually, unless they're special, you don't usually draft a guard in the first round. You usually draft them in the second. Hence Luke Goedeke. And then tackles, we're pretty solid. I mean, unless there's like a really special left tackle, and I don't know where Donovan Smith's contract is right now, but
not sure.
I think he's got more than 1 year for sure. I'm sure this isn't his last contract. I think he's got at least one more year. So there's arguments there. You could go down that road of building the offensive line, but if you got somebody in for another year, you bring in two second rounds, or you upgrade your third round into a second round pick. Hey, we're talking picks now. We shouldn't be talking picks. We should be talking about football that actually matters right now. So I didn't realize we're talking about what the Bucs are going to do in the 2023 draft, and we ain't even finished playing the season yet. Damn. Everyone wearing Mike Evans jerseys tomorrow at the Bucs game to spawn. I'm still wearing my Buccaneers jersey because I have a little thing, and I don't know if I'm gonna bear it down. I'm gonna bear my heart and soul to you. I have a couple of little rules when I watch Buccaneer football. So the T-shirt that I wear, I always wear a T-shirt under my jersey because it keeps my jersey fresh. I don't have to wash it as much. That means I smell a lot. So I always wear the same T-shirt and the same jersey until we lose. The moment we lose, the whole combo goes out. So it's been a Brady T-shirt. It's basically the word Brady with him holding a ball back in the middle of the word or something like on the Y or something like that. It's in the video, in one of my videos somewhere. And a Mike Evans jersey and the Super Bowl cap, the Super Bowl hat. If we lose a game, all that changes. So I'll go for a different jersey, different T-shirt, and a different hat, and then it resets from that until we lose again. And I'll keep doing it. That's just my little thing. It also allows me to rotate my jerseys. And it keeps me into a belief that I'm giving look to my team even though I'm not. So I will be wearing a Mike Evans jersey regardless.
And don't forget, everybody, send $13 to the Mike Evans Foundation. They do.
I'd love to hear that he got $13,000 would be awesome.
Yeah. They do good work, and everybody's sending that in because he got suspended, to show our support for Mike, and we appreciate him taking up for his teammates and quarterback. And we support Mike.
Oh, he's definitely, I would say, one of the best players we've had in a long time.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
He is Mr. Buccaneer right now.
Exactly. You see, you think of Buccaneers, you think Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin.
Yeah, and
Devin White and Levante David to an extent, but you don't normally throw the defense up there.
Vita Vea is starting to come into that, and so's Antoine Winfield too. They're starting with their names. But it takes time. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
And then Jeff said the Bucs should do everything they can to trade up and draft Will Levis from Kentucky.
Will Levis.
I'm not familiar with him.
I don't watch a heck of a lot of college football because I just don't have the time. The problem is, for me, and I'm just going to level with everyone here, how my life goes, because obviously that I'm from the UK, and it is right now about 3 a.m. So I'm just going to let everyone know kind of like how my world revolves. I work a night shift, and that's a Monday to Friday deal. And I believe I'm going to do my best to kind of translate it into American terms because I've got to use your time frame. For me, it's 5 o'clock in the evening till 1 o'clock and 1:30 in the morning. I don't get home till about 2 a.m. So that would mean 12 p.m. till 8 a.m. And 8 p.m. Okay, so probably a normal shift, really, I guess, over there. So I see my wife for about 30 minutes Monday to Friday. So on Saturday is family day. All we do is do family stuff, and then we do family stuff during the day on Sunday, unless I get back into when I get back into football when my team plays. My team starts in preseason in January, and we finish our season in August. So this is kind of like we get 2 days together. Right. Where we enjoy. So all we're doing is enjoying spending time together and doing stuff with the kids and stuff like that. Well, I don't really watch a heck of a lot of football in that time unless it's late. So if we weren't doing a show now, I'd probably watch a college game around about now. My wife's in bed. And it's the same if there's a college game when I get home from work on a Friday or a Thursday or something like that, because they do have those occasionally. I'll watch those games too. So I don't watch a heck of a lot, but I keep up a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know about trading up for someone because you just don't know where someone is going to end up. And quarterbacks, to be honest, sometimes they're a flip of a coin. How many times have we heard of this quarterback's going to be great? Josh Rosen, everyone said was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to see anything from him. There are guys who've been drafted way lower that have achieved more than Josh Rosen. And draft analysts, these people on the TV live on the draft saying how great he is, how fantastic he is. And then it came down to it and nothing happened. So I'm always nervous when it comes to quarterbacks because I think, hey, if everyone knew football, everyone would have drafted Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. Everyone would have drafted Aaron Rodgers when the Buccaneers had an opportunity to draft Rodgers. Everyone had a chance to draft somebody. Everyone had a chance to draft Dak Prescott. I'm not saying he's the future, but versus somebody like a Jameis Winston, would you have taken a Dak Prescott? Here's the question. So, and this is my thing with it. When I'm looking at a quarterback, and this is probably not the best way to go, I always look at quarterbacks who play for teams that aren't big power teams. So I don't want to look at an Alabama team. I want to look at a team that's achieved a lot with not a lot. So if you give me somebody from Vanderbilt or Hawaii or somewhere like that really made an effort, or I'm not saying effort, but really made a name for himself, that guy has done a lot with not a lot. And that is special. Because when you come into the league, you go from having an elite high-end running back, tight end, O-line, a defense that's going to go and get it for you, wide receivers who are like considered the best of their year, to a team like a Jacksonville who has talent. Every team has talent. It's just not as good as everyone else's talent.
Right.
Now you've got to try and get the most out of them. It's like squeezing juice out of an orange that's got no juice left, or very little juice left. So it doesn't always work. So that's why I'm skittish when it comes to quarterbacks. I'd probably go down a free agent route.
Well, I don't know that I wouldn't. I mean, Blaine Gabbert's been studying under Tom Brady for 3 years now.
I think if Tom Brady retires, Blaine Gabbert will be the number one person to be the Buccaneers quarterback next year.
Right, and then Kyle Trask can take on the number 2 and, get his reps and learn from Blaine.
And here's a question. Here's a big question for Bucs fans here. Looking at Kyle Trask, I want to see him slide into that number 2 position because they're constantly fighting all the way through the season. It's not like preseason's done and this is it.
Right.
That depth chart can change anytime, so he has an opportunity to creep up that depth chart. So remember when we took Draft Rosen and added him to the practice squad, and everyone's around, hey, this guy, he's special, he's an ex-first round pick, and I was like, yeah, but he can't even beat Ryan Griffin out.
Right.
If he's that good, come on.
Yeah.
Like he should be. Oh yeah, but he doesn't know the scheme. I was like, no, but he's a first round pick versus a first round nobody, like someone who's never been in the draft. So you have to have that.
You got to remember, Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. New England
didn't get plenty of quarterbacks. Russell Wilson's a 4th rounder.
Huh?
Russell Wilson's a 4th rounder.
Yeah, I mean, so you never know what you're going to get later in the draft.
I think it's all about how they respond to coaching and how. I think it does help the setup that they go into. If you go into a team that's got some success or has the ability, has a good chunk of talent and has had a winning mindset, Kyle Trask is inheriting a very good team. If he's poor, he is poor.
Yeah.
There's no growing pains to have. He's going to end up with a very good defense and he's going to end up with a lot of weapons around him. He's going to have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Russell Gage. At bare minimum, Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White. At bare minimum.
Right.
And then Cade Otton, I believe he should, and I don't know 100% because I'm not looking at contracts here. He should still get, who's the guy who, Cameron Brate. He'll get Cameron Brate as well. And that offensive line will be pretty much intact as well. So he inherits exactly what Brady had, bar one or two players that, like a Julio Jones. And we know what Julio Jones has done in the past. He hasn't done it yet for us. So it's yet to be seen. So there's two. If he fails, he's not good enough. There's no growing pains to have or anything like that. He's just not good enough.
Yeah, not okay. Bucs Skull Gang has a couple of questions. What do you do on game day, and what kind of food do you eat?
Okay, that's a really good question. It depends on the time of the game. So for me, your 1 o'clock game is 6 p.m. So that's usually the one I do with the kids. So the kids usually eat. I'll probably eat at halftime, and it's whatever we've been cooking. Usually I try and pick something quick, so I only have, because halftime's very short. So it's something that I've cooked yesterday or today on Saturday, and then we just microwave it and finish it off, or do a little bit of prep or something like that. Generally, so usually pasta dishes, curry dishes, Chinese dishes, something like that. If it was the later slate of the game, it'll be just snacks more than anything. If it's the 9 o'clock game, it can be anything, because I can cook before the games. I can cook just before the game starts, so it can be anything. Snacks usually salted nuts. I'm a big fan of salted peanuts. Can't have them when my best friend comes around. He's allergic, bless him. Tortilla chips. A bit of guacamole and a bit of salsa. Chips, dips, and beer for me, really. Yeah. What about you?
I do toddler food, is what my daughter calls it. Mac and cheese. You do pigs in a blanket. Just
I'm going around your house. It sounds lovely.
My daughter just calls it. I call it bar food, and she calls it toddler food.
Toddler food. I've never heard that. Pigs in blankets. I didn't know. That's sausage wrapped in bacon, right?
It's the sausage wrapped in a croissant.
Oh, so it's different. What we call pigs in blankets. Yeah. So we have pigs in blankets. It's usually it's a seasonal thing. We have it in Christmas, and it's just a piece of bacon, probably about as big as my pinky finger, and it's just wrapped up in bacon. And you bake it. So that's what we do. Pigs and blankets. It's interesting just learning. Like as soon as you said pigs and blankets, that sounds great. But hey, with the pastry, you say wrapped in pastry.
Yeah, you take the croissant and you roll it up, and you can put cheese inside with it or whatever, and then you just bake it off. And
I think we call that sausage roll.
Around here. Huh?
We call that sausage. I think that's similar to what we call a sausage roll.
Could be.
I'm just fascinated by it and like the small little differences.
Yeah, and in the winter I do chili or potato soup or something like that.
Chili's always a good hit. And chili's one of the ones I tend to do when I'm in. If I'm watching the game if I'm eating at halftime. So we got the 1 o'clock slate games. So it's like those hit around about 7:30 for us, about 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. So that's when we'll eat. It's usually something like a chili, a curry, or Chinese, something really simple, pasta dish.
Something simple. Because I'm not paying any attention to something cooking. I watch.
Or takeaway if I can if I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
Josh Allen could have had Josh Allen over Vita Vea. Yeah, absolutely.
I like Vita Vea. Well, we're looking for.
I get you, but
is
he talking Josh Allen, the pass rusher, or Josh Allen, the quarterback?
Oh, he's probably talking about quarterback.
I have to look at that draft now. Like, was he really drafted that? Vita Vea? We drafted Vita Vea over. And we were still with Jameis Winston, so I'm just saying here. That's crazy. I did not know that. That's why I'm having to look it up, because my eyes. I feel like my eyes are deceiving.
He does say the next comment down. He says Josh Allen's a great quarterback.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Buccaneers missed out. I don't care what anyone says. Vita Vea isn't. he isn't a franchise quarterback, and that is worth its weight in gold.
It can
I
be.
love. Sorry, go ahead.
Who knows if he would have come down here and done the same thing, though. Again, it's a thing of coaching.
Absolutely nailing it on the head again, Teresa, because he's going to come to a Dirk Cutter offense, not what he's used to.
Right.
So there's no guarantee that he just. And I'm fascinated. I'd love to. How many you could just like rewind a little bit, and just a what if, like if this person went there, this person went, what would have changed? Like let's take Tom Brady out of New England and let's put him in the Chargers, for the sake of argument. Okay. Does he have the same career? We really don't know, and that's the fascinating thing. And that's the thing about football. You're not wrong, but at the same time, you're not right either, because he's obviously talented, but it's fascinating because you just don't know. Josh Allen's obviously an extremely talented quarterback, but did he benefit from a scheme that helped him learn and get better in the pros? And you stick him in a place like Tampa with Dirk Cutter and he doesn't succeed.
Right.
And then Bruce Arians doesn't come because they do the same thing again. Oh, well, he got a bit of juice out of Josh Allen. We'll keep Dirk Cutter for another couple of years to see what he can get more out of. So there's so much to it.
So the Bucs had number 7 pick, and they moved down to 13.
Okay.
Down 13. I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, and then we've got Blaine Gabbert can only win 5 to 12 games with the Bucs.
It's a statement. I don't know. You know what? We don't actually know. We don't know. Yeah. We have no idea what he's capable of. I think I'm more on.
If this guy's this team, boom, this is what he's going to do. If he's on this team, boom, you don't know. I mean, circumstances are going to change. Is the front line going to keep him healthy? Are his receivers going to catch the damn ball?
Is he going to hold on to the ball too long? Is he going to do is? And there's lots of what ifs and is and coulds and shoulds and all that. And all those words have one thing in common with each other. Mm-hmm. They don't amount to an absolute.
Right.
They're possibilities. So I agree with Corey Brown. I think I'd probably be a bit nicer and say he'd probably go. I think it's the Buccaneers would scrape into the playoffs with Blaine Gabbert. I think I think they're a 9-18 with Blaine Gabbert and potentially getting that 10th win. It depends on I tell you what, we're doing it again. It all depends on who you're playing against as well. Like if it's loads of easy teams, then of course Blaine Gabbert might get the 10 wins. But you put him against the schedule that we got now, I would say 5 wins is probably nice.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put him against the games that we had in the first season with Brady, I would say I mean, obviously if he wasn't in his first season as well, but my point being is, you put him in that kind of scheduling. The Super Bowl season that we had, I could believe that he wins between 8 and 10 games for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's see what else we got a lot of comments today, haven't we?
Yeah, there are a lot of comments. I like it. Okay, do you think if we kept Jameis Winston, he would have won the Super Bowl?
No, not even close. No.
Now, Jameis doesn't have the patience. He won't sit back and survey the field. He takes off running when he probably has a couple, 5 seconds,
He takes too long making decisions. He's too busy trying to make the biggest play.
Right.
And that's what the Buccaneers forced him to do. By making that pick six forced them to play. That pick six forced him to play the way he doesn't want to play, because it was too many points and he had to throw the ball, and he had to be quick. He had to move, and he had to be, he was panicked because that defensive line was coming down and those pass rushers were coming after him.
Right.
And this is why I said, if you wipe the pick six off the board and the Buccaneers never went for that and went for the fourth down and failed, we're talking a 10-13 game. That game is still very, very winnable for the Saints, and that's why I said, don't let points bite you in the ass on the way out. You hear people talk about kickers when they miss. Oh, those points will come to bite us in the ass. What about the points that you turned down because you were too busy trying to get the jugular and slip and get every
Instead
drop
of
of
getting the
ball.
first down, you're trying to go all the way down the field.
Exactly. So I think the Buccaneers forced him to play the way he does. I think he would have played well with the Buccaneers in that season. I think he would have probably gone. We were still on 16 games then, so I think we'd have gone. I think we'd just possibly scraped into the playoffs. But that's barring if we were able to sign a couple of guys. If we signed Antonio Brown, if we were to sign a Gronk, which I think is a non-factor. I don't even think Gronk.
Right.
If we were to get Leonard Fournette, if we got Leonard Fournette and Antonio Brown, I say that we scrape into the playoffs.
But a lot of those guys came because of Brady.
Exactly. So it's a what if. It's a what if.
Yeah, definitely.
Honestly, we'll never know. I don't think we would have. We're definitely not winning the Super Bowl. We might have scraped into the playoffs.
Okay, and he says just like Brett Favre compared to Jameis. Are you talking about play, or are you talking about the fact that Jameis stole $31 in crab legs, and Brett Favre is in the middle of all this scandal about using taxpayer money? I don't know what you're referencing here.
I think so. Just like, I think it's the fact that there's no more to it, because it says just like Brett Favre compared to Jameis. There's no more context. There should be another comment somewhere.
Yeah.
We're a bit confused on that one. But yeah, we can talk about that. There's not a problem. Yeah. I think there's been a meme going around that Jameis Winston got more coverage eating stealing $35 worth of crab's legs than Brett Favre got for what he did.
Right.
Yes and no. I mean, I gotta go back then and compare it, but I don't think he's been as scrutinized for it. I think there's the same media coverage, but I think some of the media just brushed it under the carpet. They brushed it under the rug and forgot about it.
Right.
Whereas with Jameis Winston, he's a kid. They went hard on him.
Well, when he came into the league, though, he was already, he had the crab legs thing. He had the allegation of the sexual abuse.
Yep.
He was easy pickings.
For sure.
There was a story there. It could have been very much more ugly than it was.
The bigger difference, you got skin color involved in it, which is a big thing, and then one is considered an NFL legend. One's considered an NFL god.
Okay, yeah, right.
That's one of the big differences. So he's highly respected by some media anyway, especially right wing media like him a lot.
Oh yeah, because he's a good old boy from Mississippi.
And I think that's the sad thing about it all, is the fact that Mississippi is the poorest state in the nation, and he took $5 million to build $5 billion of taxpayer money to build a freaking volleyball stadium.
Yeah.
Is volleyball more like 18th sport for practice?
Yeah.
Like $5 million is a lot to spend on a stadium for volleyball.
And
isn't that something they play on the beach?
Buck Skull said he was talking about throwing picks.
Oh,
yeah, Brett threw his picks.
Brett threw his picks, but I believe if you look at the numbers, he threw a lot more touchdowns than picks. And he also played in different.
What?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the only other thing that I really liked whenever we played Green Bay with Brett is that Warren Sapp had his number.
Mm-hmm.
And today, I believe they are still good friends, and they would help each other off the field. Sapp
was a proper rival.
After you again,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just one of those. They talk very fondly of each other, and he has the nickname the gunslinger. I think the difference is he was a gunslinger in an era where he could get away with being a gunslinger.
Right.
With the way the NFL is so pass happy, because he gets, James Winston gets caught more. I know people who did the same thing about, and I remember when we had James Winston, they would compare his stats against Peyton Manning's, and Peyton Manning had a very similar amount of picks in his first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's poor. You end up looking at the other stuff, the poise, the comeback wins, the ability to lead, the off-field stuff. All of that, you add it all together, and it creates a package. And that's where James Winston fell short. He may have given up the football as many times as Peyton Manning, but the yards might be different. Or
but the thing is,
football's so situational.
The others, the Brett Favres and the Peyton Mannings, they learned and they got better.
Mm-hmm.
The entire time Jameis with us, let's face it, his last game, he threw a bunch of picks. That last year, he had 30 picks.
30 picks, and that was the year. That was the year we were on the cusp of going into the playoffs. We lost Chris Godwin and we lost Mike Evans. Rashad Perriman had to step up, and he did. We played against the Texans, and first throw, pick six. If it weren't for James Winston throwing pick sixes, the Buccaneers won that game.
Right.
But, and it was the set, and then when we go against Atlanta, I can't remember if it was at Atlanta or in Tampa. I can't remember. I think it was in Atlanta, and the Buccaneers are ready for their game-winning drive. Right, so if they would have won these two games, they're in the playoffs guaranteed.
Oh yeah.
But this game, they were still in the shout. All they had to do was win this game, and they would have, depending on who won in other games, they might have got in.
Right.
Last drive of the game, pick six, game over, job done. And that's all she wrote. He threw a lot of pick sixes. It's not just the picks; it's the pick sixes that he threw as well.
Right. But, Skull, are you talking Mariota? Because he's a China doll. At least Jameis wasn't hurt the entire time he was with the Bucs. He just was dumb and throwing interceptions, but he was healthy. Mariota, I don't think he's ever had a season where he played all the games.
No, I think you're right there, Teresa. I think he's a run-first quarterback. He's one of those, the moment he gets panicked, he runs. He does not trust an offensive line enough yet that he can be just sit. It takes a big man. And then this is why I'm giving Tom Brady the credit. I'm giving the Aaron Rodgers, anyone who's a pocket quarterback. It takes a lot of guts to just get back and trust your guys and not run. Because that's that fight or flight kind of reaction. And Marcus Mariota flees the moment he sees pressure. And yes, he's incredibly fast. He's very talented with his feet. But it will rob him down the line because someone will lick him. And he's not a big boy. He's not a Cam Newton. Cam Newton, you can lick hard.
Yeah.
And Cam Newton will generally get back up.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the two. Cam Newton's 6'8" or 6 foot whatever and has the thickness of a running back.
Yeah.
He can take a hit. Marcus Mariota has the body of a wide receiver, and can't take a lick like that. Not from like a Levante David or a Devin White. He's going to get broken, and he has been broken throughout his career. So I don't know. Look, we're speculating here. We'll transplant this quarterback in, and we'll transplant that quarterback in. We don't know what would happen. There was a lot of talk about the Buccaneers would have got Teddy Bridgewater. That was the biggest talking point for me back then, was the Buccaneers were probably going to get Teddy Bridgewater as their quarterback.
Right.
That's what I remember.
Tom Brady came up.
And Tom Brady was the one we ended up getting, which thank God, because it changed everything.
Yeah. Now, just Bucs fans, just to I can't help but bring this up. The Saints-Falcons game this year, the halftime score was 28-3, right? And the Falcons were losing.
They can't get away from that, can they?
They lost it.
They can't get away from that.
They'll never get away from that. Somebody asked, isn't that getting old? I said, no, it's just getting better.
Nah, it won't get old until it goes away.
That's right.
And even then, it will be considered like a classic, like kind of classic rock song. You're driving down the road, it just hits on the radio. Oh, I know this and this is fantastic. That'll be the 28-3. Anytime they go 28-3, or they're in like a position where they're so far in front and lose the game, they'll be like, oh my God, Falcons do it again.
And you know that ball that went in Matt Ryan
Ah, I thought that
went
was a
into the
joke
Hall of
until I read
Fame
off the
was
back.
number 283. I'm sorry.
Just can't get away from it. So how about we do our? Let's finish up and do our picks for this for the
Okay.
game. Yeah, because we're running on about an hour and a half now. Let's go and do our picks, and we'll talk individually about each game. I'll pop it up.
Okay.
First one is we already know the outcome of one.
Yeah.
Houston
Wait a
at
minute. Wait a minute.
Chicago.
First one.
Oh,
Hold
sorry.
on. First one. Who the heck came up with that mascot?
Oh, the Browns. That's
Yeah.
an old mascot as well. They had that. Do you guys have Rice Krispies over there?
Yeah, we've got Rice Krispies,
They
but
got
I'm
these
not
little owls
afraid of that
back
little
in the
elf.
day. Yeah, they had little
Yeah.
owls back in the day, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's the fucking Rice Krispies elf. What is that?
It reminds me of Elf on the Shelf. I'm not afraid of that one either.
I just can't
Okay.
understand how we're
All
in
right.
a year where we're in a generation where a team has an elf as its mascot. It's
Mhm.
an area of its field called the Dog Pound. They wear the color brown, and their other mascot is a bulldog.
And they're barking in the stands.
Yeah, and they bark in the stands. Makes no sense.
It
Personally,
doesn't.
I dislike the brown just because of the color, because I just don't think in modern day the color brown should ever be worn on a sports uniform. Maybe it looked good back in the 1920s. It probably looked absolutely fine because it blended in with the mud.
Probably.
Today, I just don't see it. It just doesn't. It does not read well, and they tried to make it even darker so it almost looks black
Hmm.
and really accentuate the orange of the jersey. Personally, not a fan. Doesn't do anything for me. I get it's classic. I just don't
Yeah,
like it.
I don't either.
Move on. And I get
Yep.
why they call them the Browns. They had a very legendary coach back in the day of Paul Brown. I get it. Sometimes tradition's great, but sometimes you're going to move on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these picks then,
Let's
Teresa.
go.
We got Houston at Chicago. This is a tough one for me. This is one if I had to pick, I'm scared to pick it because I don't know who I fancy in this. Because
I'm going
Chicago's
with
got the home field advantage.
and is I'm sorry. It's where it's in Chicago. No,
It's in Chicago.
it's in Chicago. Okay. I'm going to have to go with the Bears then, just home field advantage.
That's where I would go because of if I'm unsure and I'm on the fence, I go with home field advantage. That's my philosophy. Check the next one. Las Vegas at Tennessee. I'm gonna go Las Vegas.
I'm going to have to. Yeah.
I recently heard they lost their left tackle in. I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. I do apologize. Taylor Lewan, who's been their starting left tackle for a very, very long time. He was drafted the same
Okay.
draft as Mike Evans, I believe, and he's been a
Okay.
multiple Pro Bowler. So he's a very, very good left tackle. So to lose him for the entire season is huge. And the Raiders pass rush isn't half bad. It's someone's got to get over the hump, and this is basically the toilet bowl, I believe, right
Yeah.
now. This
Yeah.
is the closest thing we're going to get to it. I'm going to go with that. And then we got Kansas City and Indianapolis.
Kansas
I'm going
City.
Kansas City every single day of the week because I have not seen anything from the Colts that resembles a game yet.
Mm-mm.
I was expecting Matt Ryan to change something because he is a good quarterback. There's a reason he's called Matty Ice. Yeah, we know what he did in the Super Bowl. We're aware that he flaked out in the Super Bowl. We get that. I think that comes down to play calling as well because there's some stupid stuff. Why they didn't run the ball very much in that. You waste the clock, but you try and throw to everyone. Stupid. But it is what it is. I haven't seen anything yet from them. He's got a good offensive line. He's got a good defense, and he's got a very good running back. And he has weapons. How he's not using them, I do not know. The fact that they're the bottom of their division shocks me.
Matty
Oh no,
Ice.
they're not. They're not. They're not. Yes, my house. They're not the bottom of the division. They're the second to bottom, I imagine.
Yeah.
Next one up, we got
Buffalo.
Detroit Lions at Minnesota. This one's an interesting one because
we got Buffalo. We got Buffalo at Miami, I think.
Sorry.
I think the next one's
sorry,
Buffalo at Miami.
Yep. I need to get glasses. Oh yes,
Yeah.
Buffalo, Miami. I'm going Buffalo.
Yeah, I have to. Although Miami is surprising me at how well they're doing.
I am surprised, and I will out and say on this show that I was not a supporter of Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would do much.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't. I said to fans at the time when they drafted him, I was like, you wasted a pick. And I will out and out say, so far in this season, he's proven me wrong. Now there's
Well,
yet to be more to be seen.
Yeah, Nick Saban's
I like being proved wrong.
coming out
Being
of
proved wrong is a
Alabama.
good thing because I didn't think I know everything.
Yeah.
And this is the
If
guy's
they come
career.
out of Alabama, they're not particularly good quarterbacks. They have
Maybe
to
it's just taking him a minute to acclimatize.
Mm-hmm.
And they got him the weapons. He's got everything around him to succeed, and he succeeded so far. So hats off to him. I give him that.
Absolutely.
And then we go to Detroit versus Minnesota. Now, this one I think is a bit of a trap game because it's very difficult to kind of work out. I see both teams at a very similar level.
Mm-hmm.
I see both teams have a similar kind of defense, same kind of. I think if I had to go I'll go Minnesota.
I'm going Detroit.
You're going Detroit.
Mm-hmm. They've got something to prove.
Yeah. Christian Cole says, hey, everyone, sorry I'm late. Hey,
Chris.
Never late, always on time. Don't worry about it, brother. It's all good. You know what we say? Just come in and join in the fun.
Yeah.
We'll be chatting ball.
We got to have fun.
And then we got Baltimore at New England.
Baltimore.
I'm going Baltimore as well. I'm not convinced. Here's a tough one for you. Cincinnati at the Jets.
I don't know what to think about Cincinnati right now.
They can't stop the rush. So you're relying completely on Macaulay Culkin.
Mm-hmm.
And he's home. He's at home, and there's no one at home to help him. He's done. He's gonna check. He's gonna check out soon because they spent so much money revamping that line, and it hasn't done one iota. In fact, it looks probably worse. And people saying that the line needs to gel. I disagree. They've had an entire preseason. They didn't have a COVID season like a Tom Brady had, and other teams around the league had. They had a full off season to get shit right. They haven't got it right. That even tells me
better last year.
Exactly.
And Chris Cole says he's choosing the Jets.
I think I'm going to go to Cincinnati because I think they'll do a win.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Even though they're playing in New Jersey, I still think Cincinnati can do it.
I just think this is the kick of the back. If they need to win, it needs to be now. If they wait another week, you go 0-3. It's a hard season to climb back in because Pittsburgh, what they're 1-2 or they're they're 1-2.
Yeah, is Flacco still doing quarterback for the Jets?
Yes, he's been playing quite well, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But it's like this magic. The magic's gonna wear off eventually.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Definitely.
But next game we have Philadelphia, Washington. Foregone conclusion. I'm going for Philadelphia. The fact that they've lost Chase Young on the defensive side of the football for Washington, that was one of the things that I would go on. Oh, maybe. Because he's a difference-making player, in my opinion. He helped them win. He helped them get to the playoffs the year that they got to the playoffs when they played against us.
Right.
I just don't see enough in them. I'm not saying it's unwinnable, but I just don't see it.
I don't see it.
New Orleans at Carolina. I'm going New Orleans. I don't want to. Don't want to.
No, I'm thinking. See, I would think.
I mean, I hope Carolina win.
By us, they've been shook by us beating them. And Kamara, did I hear that Kamara was suspended for 10 games?
Yeah.
So they don't have him.
Nope. So they're going back to marking room the third.
Yeah.
who had a good day against us. Not great day, had a good day.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick my neck out and go Carolina.
I like it. I really hope you're right, because it helps set that division away, that division away from us. So
right.
I feel that we can beat Carolina more than we're going to beat the Saints. Even if the Saints are bad, I do think they're one of those teams that could have our number down the line.
Oh, yeah.
They're a trip-up team. They're a trip-up team for us.
Absolutely.
So the fact that more teams beat the Saints, the further away they are from us. That's the way I look at it.
I like it.
Then we go Jacksonville at the Chargers. Now, I don't know what the deal is with their quarterback in Justin Herbert. I honestly don't know what his injury status is at the moment. If he's playing, I'm going to go Chargers. If he's not playing, I might go Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It's just too much chaos to lose such a big member of your team and then to go and win the next game. I think it might take them a minute. If they've lost him for a couple of weeks, because I believe he broke the cartilage in his ribs. So I don't know how bad that is, because I've never broken. As far as I know, I've never broken here.
They've got him listed as questionable. Did not practice.
So here's my thing: if he plays, let's see. I'm going to go Jacksonville. I'm going
Chargers.
Go with our Florida cousins.
Yeah.
LA Rams versus Arizona. It's not about. This is an interesting one. You going Rams?
I'm going Rams. I don't think that Arizona can keep up with them.
No, I agree. Thinking about it, I was on the fence, and then I was thinking they got an offense, and I was like, yeah, but their defense isn't exactly the best in the world.
Right.
Versus a Rams offense. So that's what made me change my. I was thinking, they're kind of even keeled, kind of, and then I'm like, no, they're really not. There's a bit more to it than that. Yeah. And then we got Atlanta versus Seattle, third bowl. This is a tough one because I see both teams at the same level. They've got talent in places, but they don't have enough talent. I really see them as almost like carbon copies of each other. The only thing I give Seattle is they've got franchise. They've genuinely got a franchise wide receiver, 100% in DK Metcalf, and they have other talent available. That defense is porous. They ground out a win against. Where is it? This is the question.
It's at Seattle.
I'm going to go Seattle.
Me too, just because of the noise factor from those.
Noise factor, and I think both teams are very similar. I see a bit more offensive juice from Seattle, so I think that might be the one that squeaks it by. And then we go Green Bay, the Battle of the Bays. I'm going Tampa. Score prediction on this one?
I said 2017.
2017. I'm going to be a little bit more in favor of. I'm going to go 27-20. I'm going to go 27-20.
Okay.
And then who else we got? San Francisco versus Denver. I'm going to go San Francisco on this one.
San Francisco for sure.
I've not seen anything from Denver that's proven that they can do anything else.
Nope.
They're making having Russell Wilson look like a disaster right now. Dallas versus New York Giants. Now this is a tough one because Cooper Rush did get the win, but he beat the Cincinnati Bengals, and it was his defense that did most of the work.
Wait a second.
This Giants team has been surprisingly good.
The Giants have been surprisingly good, and we're playing in.
And it is the Giants.
New York. Yeah. I'm seeing. Let's see. Dak Prescott's out, but his replacement's been doing well.
You know what? I'm going on a limb. I'm going to go with the Giants because I want to see Dallas Cowboy fans realize their season is actually done.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, guys. Well, that's it from us right now. We're pretty much done here.
Yeah.
We've exhausted all content, and we will see you at the post-game show if anyone's doing that. I know Johnny Dean does the post-game show with Marty McKnight, both guys from NFL Edition, so check them out on Thursdays. I think they run around about 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm not 100% sure on
that,
yeah. It might be closer to 10 p.m. nowadays. It depends on when they can get people back. But as always, guys, much appreciated for tuning in. Pamela White's got her prediction of a 20-10. I'll take that. I'll take a 20-10. That's not bad. It's not far from yours, though, is it, Teresa?
No, it's not. Guys, we appreciate all your comments tonight.
Guys, you've been fantastic in the comments. We've had a lot of comment engagement from you guys. It's been much appreciated. I do apologize to anyone who tuned into my show before. We got cut off because of copyright infringement. I tried to make pretty little videos, and pretty little videos had music in, and pretty little videos with music got called by the powers that be and said no. So from now on, we can't do that. We have to find a workaway around that. So anyone who tuned into my show and saw it got kicked off, I do apologize, but we're still learning this whole system that we've kind of been put into. So
yeah,
we'll get there, guys. Hope our Bucs win. And it's been real fun for me and Teresa. Should we give them the fingers? See you guys. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.